Quit laziness now, the shocking reality of a boy who lost everything by wasting time. In a quiet suburb, life moved at a leisurely pace, until one fateful night when 17-year-old Jake's world exploded. He sat in his room, surrounded by countless video game trophies, the screen glowing ominously in the dark. In a moment, all joy vanished. The air felt electrified, heavy. And that's when it happened, a loud crash from downstairs followed by a whispered voice that chilled him to the bone. There was some strange presence lurking just out of sight, teasing him with the promise of disaster. Jake was no ordinary boy. He wore his dreams as heavy as his headphones. The haunting truth was that he was living under the weight of a secret, a burden born from years of procrastination and endless hours spent glued to the screen. In stark contrast, his friends were out in the world, snagging scholarships and internships, while Jake? He was losing everything: his friendships, his future, his sanity. The stakes had never been higher. He could hear his mother's voice trembling with worry, a stark contrast to the laughter that once echoed through their home. Suddenly, the chaos below escalated. Footsteps echoed as red lights flashed through the window, turning shadows into dancing figures. Panic surged in his chest. Was it the police? Or something far worse? Jake's heart pounded in his throat as he contemplated the choices he'd made. Time slipped away like grains of sand, each moment lost contributing to the twisted web of consequences he now faced. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As Jake crept down the hall, every creak of the floor felt like a thunderstorm rumbling in the silence. Faces flashed in his mind, the friends he'd let down, and the dreams now slipping from his grasp. And then he froze. A shadow loomed at the end of the corridor, eyes glinting in the dim light. The strange voice whispered again, this time closer, more urgent, help me. What do you do when everything you know is about to shatter? The journey into the unknown was just beginning. Jake's breath hitched in his throat. Shadows twisted and morphed, and he wondered if it was truly a voice he had heard or just a figment of his imagination. The heavy silence pressed around him, an utter void filled only by the sound of his thundering heartbeat. Whoever or whatever stood at the end of the hall stirred a mix of terror and curiosity within him. Help me! The whisper sliced through the air, sharp and desperate. There was a raw urgency behind those two words that sent shivers down his spine. It was a plea, one that shattered the distorted haze of his reality. He couldn't turn back. He had to know what was happening. Bracing himself, Jake stepped cautiously toward the shadow. With a flicker, a surge of red flashing lights illuminated the hallway, revealing the figure. It was a girl, no older than he was, with wild hair and wide, terrified eyes. Her clothes were tattered, like she had been running for days. She trembled, whispering again, "You have to help me. They're coming." "What do you mean? Who's coming?" Jake felt a rush of confusion flooding through him, but the instinct to help washed over his fear. The desperate look in her eyes ignited a flicker of determination within him. "They're going to take me, and you won't be able to stop them." She glanced behind her, panic smoldering in her gaze. "They come for the dreamers first, the ones who waste their time. Please, I need your help." Jake's mind raced. She was talking about him, wasn't she? The dreams he had squandered, and the nights he lost himself in video games instead of facing life. Was this girl the manifestation of his guilt or a real threat? The stakes felt unbearably high. "Why me?" he stammered, every word a challenge to his reality. He didn't want to be the hero, not now. "Because you're just like me. You still have a chance to break free." The girl's voice cracked, and tears glistened in the corner of her eyes. "They feed on your fears, the procrastination. They turned dreams into nightmares. He stared at her, unsure of how to help someone trapped in a fight he didn't even understand. Anger flared within him, rising from a place deep in his gut. Who are they? What do I need to do? A muffled shout emerged from the darkness below, echoing within the confines of his house. The chaos intensified. You have to trust me. We need to find the door. She beckoned, desperation spilling from her lips. If they get in here first, we'll be too late. Come on. With adrenaline surging through him, Jake hesitated only for a moment before moving towards her, ready to follow. What's the door? He shouted over the panic, urgency burning in his mind. It's the way out, she replied, grabbing his hand. But time is running out. You need to believe. In that moment, reality flipped. The lights flickered again, plunging them into darkness. Heart racing, Jake felt the ground beneath him tremble. The strange voice returned, now ominous, echoing through the halls like a thunderous warning. Help me or lose everything. The world spun around him, the ominous weight of his past crashing into the fragile hope of the unknown. As they sprinted down the corridor, Jake realized that he was standing at a precipice, a choice that could determine not just his future, but that of a stranger desperate for escape. Could he let himself leap into the chaos, or was he destined to remain wrapped in the cocoon of his comfort? What awaited them beyond that door? The question hung heavy, pulsing with dread and anticipation, as they raced toward an uncertain fate. The darkness enveloped them like a thick blanket, echoing with every hurried step. As they ran, Jake could barely see the girl beside him. Fear tightened its grip on him, pushing sharp pins of panic into his chest. What if we don't make it? He thought, shuddering at the idea. We will, she assured him, though Jake could hear the uncertainty lacing her voice. Just stay close. With every flickering flash of red light, shadows danced along the walls, teasing and taunting as they raced forward. Jake's mind spun. Every horror movie he had ever watched flooded back to him, creatures lurking in the dark, waiting to pounce. This wasn't a flickering screen, this was his life. Oh God! The girl gasped, yanking him toward a doorway that appeared before them. In here! They plunged into a small, cramped room, the air thick with the mechanical scent of dust and darkness. Jake could barely take a breath as panic clawed at him. He could feel the walls closing in, and for a moment, he just wanted to scream, to break free of the internal pressure. Listen! The girl pressed her back against the door, her eyes darting around. They can't follow us in here, at least not yet. What do you mean? He gasped, mind racing. Who are these things? She swallowed hard, trembling. They're the Shadow Keepers. They thrive on our wasted time. The longer we hesitate, the stronger they become. The door is our only chance to escape them. Jake felt a swell of guilt. He had spent so many hours gaming, scrolling through social media, losing himself to pointless distractions. And now those decisions had molded into something monstrous. So I did this? Their power comes from your indecision, she said urgently. But it's not too late. You have to believe we can end this. Suddenly, the door rattled, a chilling sound that sent icy dread racing through Jake's veins. What if they get in? He breathed, the reality of the situation crashing down on him like a wave capable of drowning him. Her face hardened with resolve. Then we fight. But before Jake could respond, a low growl seeped through the cracks in the door. It coiled around him, threatening to suffocate any glimmers of hope left within. Sweat beaded on his forehead, and he could feel the chill creeping down his spine. Focus! She snapped, grabbing his arm tightly. We must find the door. It will be our only escape. He glanced at her, a face filled with determined fire, even as shadows clawed at the edges of the room. What happens if we don't find it? A flicker of fear crossed her features, but she masked it quickly. Then we're trapped here, or worse. Just then, the door splintered loudly, a deep crack opening like a gaping mouth, and Jake's heart stopped. They're coming! He shouted, instinct driving him backward, but the girl pulled him forward. Now! They rushed to the only other exit in the room, a narrow window, filthy and small. The room trembled, and for a brief moment, he felt the weight of everything pressing down on him. Time was running out, and he was doing this all for a chance at freedom or a descent into chaos. The shadows roared in frustration behind them. Without another second to lose, they dove through the window. Jake hit the ground hard, the cold earth feeling like a jolt of reality. Where were they? He glanced around, and a wave of confusion washed over him. The ground beneath them pulsed, flickering like broken glass. What now? He whispered, dread curling in his gut. The girl turned to him, eyes wide, as a haunting realization settled in her voice. It's worse than we thought. We're still inside their realm. Jake's breath left him in a rush. What lay ahead? The shadows stirred, and his heart raced as he realized this was just the beginning. Where are we going? He asked, fear rising again. And then she pointed, her voice trembling anew. To the center. That's where the true door lies. But we have to be quick, they'll be right behind us. The shadows swirled closer, and he felt the pulse of time slip through his fingers like sand. Was it too late to fight against the darkness? As they sprinted forward, Jake realized the clock was ticking. He had to confront his deepest fears, or risk losing everything he had left. Would he have the courage to face what awaited him? And more importantly, would they reach the true door in time? The ground trembled beneath their feet as Jake and the girl sprinted through an otherworldly landscape that twisted and writhed, almost alive. He glanced back. The shadows were chasing them with a ravenous hunger, a cacophony of whispers echoing in the air. They were no longer just intangible fears. They had form, moving like ink through water, hungry and relentless. Faster! She cried, adrenaline fueling her words. Jake's lungs burned as they pushed forward, his pulse pounding in his ears. The fleeting thought of giving up crossed his mind, but the ferocity of the shadows held him in place. Why does it have to be to the center? He shouted, panting hard. Because that's where they've trapped our time. That's where we break their bond. She yelled back, unwavering even when the ground below them shimmered, revealing blurred, chaotic images of lost moments drifting away like smoke. Time, the word clanged in Jake's mind like a bell. Each second lost to distractions had chained him to this nightmare, this day of execution where the shadow keepers grew stronger. Was it already too late for him? Keep running. We're almost there. He didn't know how she knew, but he was compelled to believe her. They turned sharply around a jagged outcropping, where pale light flickered like candles in darkness. The sight was both beautiful and eerie, a stark contrast to the chaos closing in behind them. Do you see it? She pointed toward a growing silhouette emerging through the shimmering haze. It was becoming clearer, a door, glowing ominously, pulsing like a heartbeat but framed with shadows that flicked and snapped like angry flames. But then, a howl pierced the air, echoing with despair and dread. It sent shivers along Jake's spine, freezing him in place. A creature emerged from the dark, a beast with twisted features, eyes like dying embers, its form constantly flickering as if it were struggling to be solid. Jake! The girl broke his trance. We have to go! With renewed urgency, he launched himself forward, but fear caught him in its vice-like grip. Thoughts flooded his mind, flashes of all he could have done differently. He could have been out enjoying life, making memories. Instead, here he was, running for his life. As they neared the door, the shadows intertwined with the creature, forming a bridge of darkness that blocked their path. It stood with a twisted smile, a mockery of their desperation. Wasted time will not be so easily reclaimed, the creature rasped, its voice wrapping around him like a serpent. You think you can escape the inevitability of your own futility? The girl ground her teeth, stepping in front of Jake, the fire in her eyes flickering defiantly. Shut up! We are not your prey! In that moment, something inside Jake ignited. He wouldn't be a victim, not anymore. But how could he turn the tide? He remembered the hours lost, the time robbed, and the only necessary step he could take was to reclaim what he had squandered. He was done running from his own failures. I refuse to let you win! Jake shouted, feeling an energy swell within. The shadows recoiled slightly, as if his words stung them. Believe in this stolen time with me. the girl urged. We can break their hold. Together, they reached for the door, hands clasping around the cold metal. The shadows shrieked, echoing a chorus of anger, as he felt an electric jolt surge through him. The world spun, colors swirling like a whirlpool, merging past, present, and future. Now! She screamed, their resolve combining into a force that struck at the heart of the dark. Would the door be their escape, or would it consume them whole? As Jake shoved the door open, an explosion of light flooded the space, pushing the shadows back. For a heartbeat, all went white around them, and the realization hit this was a chance at redemption or a plunge into the depths of darkness. Then the light dimmed abruptly, and they stumbled forward, unsure of what lay ahead. Jake? Her voice trembled, breaking the uneasy silence as they stood together in a new realm. He looked around, scanning for answers. Their surroundings were eerily familiar, yet so far removed from what he had known. Where are we? Before he could get an answer, a cold wind swept through, carrying a whisper that sent a chill down his spine. Welcome back, but what will you choose this time? His heart thudded in his chest. This was far from over. The air hummed with tension as they stepped into the new realm. Colors bled together in a surreal collage, a strange beauty masking the underlying danger. The girl's eyes darted around, searching for a sign, a clue. Jake felt a gnawing anxiety clench his stomach. Look at that! She pointed to an enormous clock at the center of the clearing. Its hands spun wildly, disconnected from any sense of time. Each tick reverberated like a sickening heartbeat, echoing in the silence. What is that? Jake asked, breathless. The girl frowned, biting her lip. That's the heart of time. The shadows from before flickered at the edge of the light, swirling like smoke, waiting, watching. The creature they had escaped loomed close, its voice a distant murmur filled with malice. Time is a fickle thing, isn't it? It taunted. What do you hope to gain here? The past is a bitter master. Jake squared his shoulders. He was stepping back now. We're here to take back what's ours. The girl nodded. A fire ignited in her eyes. You think you can control us? You're wrong. The shadows writhed, snapping as if enraged. Once more, the creature advanced, the flickering edges of its form shifting and distorting. Foolishness. You'll find that your humanity is weak against the layers of despair. But Jake felt a swell of determination. His past, all those moments he wished he could have back, it fueled his resolve now. He pushed forward, staring at the heart of time, the chaotic clock, and he wondered, what if he could harness that chaos? Focus on your moments, the girl urged, her voice steady. Remember what matters. Images flashed through Jake's mind, laughter with friends, a sunset shared with someone special, moments he let slip by. Could they really be captured? Could he change the course of his life? He reached deep within. Memories weren't just fragments, they were power. The shadows surged in unison. You believe you can manipulate time? The creature growled, advancing. Your memories are just echoes. You'll be consumed. You'll never escape us. Jake resisted the pull of despair threatening to swallow him whole. Together! He shouted, his voice rallying against the darkness. He clasped the girl's hand firmly. We need to make them matter. We can't let them hold us hostage anymore. With their combined focus, the chaotic clock began to respond. The hands slowed, stabilized under their united bond. Whispers of the past wrapped around them, and Jake felt the weight of all that lost time compress into a single point of clarity. Now focus! The girl called. The shadows crackled, fear mingling with anger in their whispers. Glimmering threads of light wove through the air, surrounding them, binding the past and the future. The heart of time pulsed with a brilliant energy, drawing from their moments years lost out of sight but now blazing before them like fireworks. As the creature snarled, its distortion creeping toward them like a tide, the clock's hands turned and spun, unleashing a shockwave of light. Jake squeezed his eyes shut, clenching his teeth, praying that this was enough. With a deafening crash, the light exploded outward, and darkness throbbed, fighting against the brightness. In that instant, Jake understood the shadows were terrified. Would this newfound power free them from their chains, or would they plunge into an even deeper abyss? Just as the light seemed poised to engulf them, an invisible force pulled them back, ripping away their grip on reality. Jake's heart raced wildly as the world fractured once more, the cacophony of whispers amplifying into a deafening roar. "Jake! Hold on!" the girl screamed, but the darkness closed in again. And just like that, everything faded to black. What would they face this time? Jake gasped as the darkness swallowed him, pulling him into a vortex of cold despair. The weight of it pressed against his chest, suffocating and overwhelming. He felt the girl's hand slip from his grasp as the world disintegrated into a shimmering void. Sudden flashes illuminated the pitch blackness. He saw snippets of life, the cringe-worthy moments of his past playing like a broken film reel. The lights flickered faster, each one a memory sliced and thrown into chaos. Friends laughing. Missed opportunities. Tears shed over lost loves. "Where are we?" a voice shouted from somewhere in the abyss. It was the girl, her tone tinged with panic. Jake reached out, desperately scanning the blackness around him. "I don't know. Just focus," he urged, his heart pounding. "We have to find the heart again." The void trembled, its darkness swirling violently, as if an unseen force was unsettled by their presence. The girl's voice echoed through the emptiness, a shard of clarity amidst the cacophony. "Remember our moments. They're our strength." Suddenly, fragments began to flicker in front of them, realities overlapping and colliding like waves crashing against rocks. Jake caught flashes of his childhood, birthday parties, and road trips, all swirling in a kaleidoscope of blurred colors. The shadows reformed, swirling tighter, twisting around him like a crackdown grip. "You think nostalgia is mightier than despair?" the creature's voice mocked, its tone twisted with cruel delight. "Those memories won't save you. They'll shatter when the darkness rises." "No!" Jake yelled, summoning every ounce of determination. "They're not just memories. They're who I am." Light erupted from within him, and the girl's face illuminated with fierce resolve. "Together!" she cried, her voice piercing through their fear. With a forceful push, they projected their shared memories outward, true, genuine moments filled with raw emotion, lighting up the void like shooting stars. The shadows shrieked. They writhed and hunched as if in pain, their form growing less defined against the vibrant display of memories. The space around them buzzed with energy, vibrant threads weaving a tapestry of hope amidst the chaos. For an instant, Jake could see beyond the walls of darkness. He glimpsed the heart of time, its chaos pulsing faster, urging them to take strength from their shared past. He could feel the energy gathering, coalescing into something greater. The shadows, however, surged back, flinging themselves at the light with ferocity. "You are nothing but shadows of fleeting moments," it hissed, desperation threading through its words. "Time will consume you." But Jake refused to let despair in. "We are more than mere echoes," he shouted defiantly. "We are the essence of every moment we've lived. Time may pass, but our impact lasts." With each word, the light pulsated, flickering brighter till it cast the shadows back into their corners. The creature screamed, echoing with rage and fear. Suddenly, a tearing sound filled the space. The fabric of reality seemed to rip apart as they were thrust forward. Jake reached out, grasping for the girl just as she vanished, absorbed into the brightness. No! But it was too late. In a rush, Jake found himself in a new landscape, a place unfathomable. The air was different here, electric and crackling as if the world around him vibrated with anxiety. "Where are you?" he shouted, but received no answer, only the pulsing beat of the chaotic clock echoing in the distance. A shadow flickered in his periphery. Moving closer, he found it a reflection of something familiar yet distorted. His heart raced as he realized, it wasn't just his shadow but fragments of who he used to be. The broken visage whispered secrets of what had been lost, what he had abandoned. Around him, remnants of time nestled in pockets of light, swirling desperately. "Change the course now," a voice urged. Was it the girl? Jake's breath hitched, an undeniable urge tugging at him. to face the past he had tried so hard to escape. But could he? Was this the challenge that would either redeem him or plunge him further into despair? Could he really face himself before time ran out? Jake stumbled forward, each step echoing against the charged atmosphere. Disoriented, he gazed into the mirror of shadows swirling around him. The ethereal reflections shifted, shattered, and whispered memories, some painful, others sweet, but all haunting him with their weight. "You can't run from this," a voice chimed, loud and unmistakable. It was his own, weaving through the currents of regret that tangled around him like barbed wire. "Face it," he muttered, heart racing. "Face it." The air thickened, vibrating with urgency. The ticking clock pulsed louder, its rhythm resonating with the rise and fall of Jake's breath. It was a countdown. He could feel it in his bones, every tick a reminder of the moments he'd let slip away. Suddenly, a dark wisp lunged toward him, a swirling mass of memories best left unremembered. Jake recoiled, fear ripping through him. How could he confront the ghosts of his past when they felt so insurmountable? "Remember who you are." The girl's voice surged back, slicing through the haze of dread. He closed his eyes, forcing his mind to focus amidst the chaos. Moments from his life flashed in a dizzying blur: his first soccer goal, the pride in his dad's eyes, the laughter shared around the dinner table. "Those are real," Jake breathed, recalling warmth and purity. The fear began to recede, replaced by a growing sense of clarity. More shadows, more reflections. They bloomed around him like the aftermath of a storm, yet their essence felt fragile. He braced himself as the dark hand of the creature loomed, intent on dragging him back to the depths. "Will your fond memories hold up against the weight of despair?" It sneered, its voice echoing with malice. She was right. "You can't shatter me," Jake shouted defiantly. He drew strength from each cherished image. "Every moment is part of me." With a surge of emotion, he summoned the memories and flung them at the looming darkness. They collided, bursting into brilliant sparks as they met the shadow, causing it to twitch and writhe. "Stay away," he gasped, pushing further, needing to bridge the gap toward the girl. He could almost sense her presence just beyond his reach. But the shadows retaliated, intensifying their assault. They coiled and twisted, whispering his deepest failures, louder and more menacing. "You were never good enough. You'll lose her. You'll always be alone. Shut up," he roared, driving the pain outward with a powerful wave of light. The shadows scrambled beneath the intensity, their forms fragmenting, too weak to withstand the onslaught of raw emotion. In that blinding flash, Jake saw the girl again, her silhouette shimmering just ahead. She was fighting her own battle against the tendrils of darkness. "We're together," he urged, summoning all his belief. "You have to trust me." As if hearing his call, the shadows recoiled, leaving an opening. In that split second, Jake lunged forward, grasping at the light connecting them. Their hands met amidst the chaos, igniting a blaze that surged brighter than the void itself. The shadows shrieked, drowning in their own darkness. With their combined strength, they forged a path through the decay of despair, but the heartbeat of the clock quickened, urging them onward. "Jake!" The girl's voice trembled, the urgency piercing through the dense chaos. "We have to hurry. The heart is fading." Jake felt the swell of time slipping further away. "What happens if we don't reach it?" he asked, his gut twisting. The girl met his gaze, eyes wide with fear and determination. "We'll be lost forever in our own regret." Together, they rushed forward, fighting against the tainted grasp of shadows, knowing they had to confront the ultimate truth before time consumed everything they had fought to reclaim. Would the heart wait for them, or would they be chained to their past forever? Jake pushed through the remaining shadows, driven by an urgent need to reach the heart. The swirling dark forms hissed and writhed, biting at his ankles like waves crashing against a rocky shore. Each step felt heavier, shackled by fear and the haunting whispers that echoed in his ears. "Stay close to me," he shouted, glancing back at the girl, her determined expression flickering like the flames around them. He felt the heat of their shared effort filling him with both fear and hope. But the closer they got, the more the shadows fought back. They lunged with a ferocity that made Jake's heart palpitate wildly. A screaming wisp darted past, grazing his arm, leaving a trail of icy dread. Every brush felt like a reminder of all that he could lose again. The girl stumbled slightly, and Jake instinctively reached out, pulling her toward him. "We won't let them take us," he growled, channeling the fierce memories that had brought him this far. With her hand clasped tightly in his, they pressed on. The landscape ahead shifted, walls of darkness faded, revealing a bright shimmer. The heart hovered in the distance, radiant and pulsating like a beacon. Just outside reach, it compelled them forward, promising salvation. "Jake, I don't know if we can break through," she yelled, her voice shaking with uncertainty. "Trust me. We have to be stronger than this." He could barely hear his own words over the shrieks of despair from the shadows clawing at them. But the shadows were relentless. They twisted into grotesque shapes, mocking their hope. "You think you can escape? You think you're worthy?" they taunted, their snarls vibrating through the air like thunder. Jake clenched his jaw, every fiber of his being screaming to abandon whatever shred of hope he had left, but he couldn't. He wouldn't. "Don't listen to them," he shouted, drawing upon the clarity he had regained. "Focus on the heart." With renewed vigor, they surged forward. A few stray tendrils of darkness reached for them, wrapping around Jake's arm. He winced, feeling the familiar tug of hopelessness threaten to pull him under again. Then he called upon a moment a fleeting glance of his younger self, joyful and free. It burst into his mind, fueling him. "I am worthy!" he bellowed, throwing the darkness aside. The shadows faltered, and the heart gleamed brighter. He could feel its warmth rolling over him like sunlight after a storm. "Jake! The clock, it's almost stopped." Her voice pierced through the chaos, a harsh reminder that time was not on their side. Desperation surged through him as the shadows lunged again, but he wasn't afraid now. He spread his arms wide, reflecting the light from the heart. "I choose to be brave. I choose life." The shadows recoiled, tentatively retreating against the surge of his defiance. The heart pulsed again, sending waves of radiance that expanded outward, pushing back the dark. They were almost there, the final stretch ahead of them. As they moved closer, Jake saw that the heart wasn't just a beacon, it was a mirror, reflecting not only their struggles but all the possibilities of who they could become. "We can do this!" he shouted back at the girl, urging her on. But just as they lunged forward, an enormous shadow surged up, blocking their path. "You are just a boy. You cannot change your fate," it roared, its voice a deep rumble that shook the ground beneath them. In that moment of trust, Jake squeezed the girl's hand tighter. With their backs against despair, they prepared to summon their final strength. "Together!" he shouted, heart racing. Suddenly, the clock struck an ominous chime, signaling the last moments ticking away. Would their combined faith be enough to transform the looming darkness? Would it drown them, or could they finally break free? The heart pulsed brilliantly, and as they prepared to break through, Jake felt a sudden and terrifying chill. What if they were wrong? What if this was all a deception? The shadows surged, an enormous wall of despair blocking their last path to the heart. Jake felt the girl's grip falter, panic piercing her expression like a shard of ice. The presence of the colossal shadow bore down on them, alive with fury and sorrow. "You are just one boy," it thundered. "You cannot even save yourself." As the darkness loomed, Jake tightened his hold on her. "We're stronger together," he shouted, heart hammering in his chest. The coldness creeping into his bones made him shiver, but he fought it back with every spark of hope within him. "Think," Jake urged, desperation lacing his voice. "Think of everything we've faced. We've come too far to turn back now." Still, doubt curled in his mind. What if they failed? It thrummed in the atmosphere like a heavy storm about to break. The shadows twisted and turned, their voices now a discordant symphony of mocking laughter mixed with wails, echoing the uncertainty that threatened to swallow him whole. "Are you willing to sacrifice everything? Just for a fleeting chance?" The shadows hissed, their taunts dripping with venom. Jake swallowed hard, tasting the salt of fear on his lips. But deep inside, he felt something shift. A latent fire ignited, flickering within like the soft glow of the heart, and he remembered why they had come this far. "Your doubt is a lie," Jake said, voice rising above the chaos. "We are more than just shadows and fears." He inhaled, gathering strength. "We are the light fighting back." With that, he surged forward, pulling the girl along with him, and the heart seemed to respond to his courage. A wave of warmth radiated from it, spreading outwards, igniting their spirits. It was as if the universe listened, gathering their determination into a fierce, blazing force that shot through the darkness. The towering shadow recoiled as if struck, flinching at the brightness they summoned. "You cannot, you will not," it roared, but its voice faltered, and for the first time, Jake could see the fear embedded in its essence. "No! This isn't just about us," Jake shouted, heart racing. "We're fighting for everyone lost to this darkness." The moment hung in the air, pregnant with potential. Would it be enough? He could feel the clock winding down, the seconds threatening to consume them both. Then it happened. With one unified push, they bounded towards the heart, lighting up the void around them. The shadows writhing at their feet started to dissolve, evaporating under the brilliance that was now radiating from their combined wills. As they crossed the threshold towards the heart, Jake reached out, the light enveloping his fingers, merging with the warmth that pulsed from within. He could sense energy coursing through him, an invincible bond of purpose and love. But just as they were about to grasp the heart, the largest shadow shot forward, its form growing rapidly, its voice a torrent of rage. "You think this is it? You think you have won?" It roared, and suddenly, the world around them warped, pulling away like a cruel mirage. "No!" Jake screamed, clenching his fists. Above the din, he could feel the girl faltering beside him. "Don't let it take you. Focus on the heart. Focus on us." The darkness seemed to sway, an almost tangible sensation of it trying to invade his thoughts. Doubt reared up, threatening to drown them. A brilliant flash of insight pierced through an image of all those they stood for, names like echoes. Love, joy, clarity, all the things that brought light into their lives. "This isn't just for us," he shouted as he clutched the girl's hand. But as the heart grew closer, an ominous whisper rippled through the shadows. "Your past is with you. Can you truly escape it? Can you face what lies beyond?" Jake's chest tightened as they approached the final boundary. The heart's glow pulsed wildly, and another shadow surged forth, bigger and angrier, obscuring his view. What if this is the darkness you cannot outrun? What if hope doesn't exist here? Jake felt his heart race, but the beat of resolve drowned out the whispers. "We are not our past," he shouted into the black tide. "We will break through." And with that, Jake dashed forward, but suddenly, a chilling silence enveloped them. The air thickened, and for a moment, all was still. Was this the calm before the storm? The shadows coiled in anticipation, and then, darkness crashed around them once more potent, more terrifying than ever. Can you withstand this final surge? Or will this darkness consume everything you fought for? As Jake and the girl approached the heart, uncertainty clawed at his insides. Would they finally grasp it, or had they miscalculated their strength just as the ultimate darkness closed in for the kill? Jake and the girl stood there, hearts pounding, the air thick with fear and uncertainty. The heart of time pulsed before them like a beacon of hope in a sea of shadows, threatening to pull them under. "We can't let this darkness swallow us whole," he shouted, determination rising in his chest. The whispers swirled around them, cruel and mocking, but he couldn't afford to fall back into despair. "You're just a boy," the shadows screeched, voices layered with malice. "You can't change what's been done." But deep down, Jake felt the truths of his heart forming a rebellion. This wasn't just about him, it was about true living. It meant confronting all he had lost: his friends, his dreams, his very essence. He refused to believe that these shadows could hold power over him any longer. The girl squeezed his hand, her eyes blazing with fierce resolve. "We're not victims. We won't let them take our moments," she cried. Her voice sparked a familiar fire inside him, one that had been buried beneath layers of regret and fear, In that moment, they represented every person who had lost themselves in the chaos of life, the dreamers, the seekers, the ones waiting to be saved. Suddenly, the clock chimed louder, its pendulum swinging wildly, signaling the closing threshold. Time was slipping away. "Focus!" Jake yelled, his voice cutting through the chaos. "Think of what we can reclaim!" A surge of clarity washed over him. Memories began to weave together, strengthening their resolve. With every cherished moment flooding his mind, every laugh shared and every sunset chased, the heartbeat of the heart resonated deeper within him. "Remember your power!" she shouted, her voice rising through the tide of darkness that surrounded them. "Together, we can do this!" His past no longer felt like a burden, instead, it illuminated the path forward. With a blast of friendship and determination, they began to charge together toward the heart, arms outstretched. They could feel the shadows closing in, desperate to snatch them back into oblivion. In that heart-stopping instant, Jake's grip tightened on the girl's hand. The shadows writhed like fury unleashed, trying to ensnare their legs, but he was prepared to push through. "We are the dreamers. We reclaim what we've lost," he shouted to the darkness, embodying the strength of every moment that had rippled through his life. A wave of light erupted from within them, brilliant and pure, pushing back the weight of despair that had shackled him for so long. The shadows shrieked as the light surged, illuminating the darkened corners of his mind. With each step, they could feel the heart growing nearer, glowing like the sun rising after a long night. "Now!" the girl exclaimed, the urgency in her voice sending them thrusting forward. They crashed through the final barrier, grasping the heart of time with everything they had. A rush of warmth enveloped them, radiating hope and clarity, binding their spirits together. Instantly, the chaos began to dissolve, shadows dissipating like smoke upon a sudden gust of wind. For the first time, they could finally breathe. The weight of past failures lifted, and as the shadows shrank away, Jake's vision cleared. He stood with the girl, who had bravely fought alongside him, and felt the overwhelming sense of liberation. "What now?" he whispered, exhaustion setting in but hope bubbling beneath. The heart took on a brilliant form, illuminating the space around them, hinting at the world still filled with possibility. Now, a voice resonated deep and profound, "You embrace your journey forward. Time can linger, but it is the choices you make that shape your destiny." Tears welled in Jake's eyes as he realized the layers of what he had regained. "We did it," he breathed. We really did it!" The girl smiled back, her eyes glistening with joy. Together, they had found redemption, a chance to reclaim everything lost, to shape new beginnings. Life would not be perfect, but each day would bring new opportunities to choose wisely, to dream boldly. As the brightness spread around them, they stepped back towards reality, armed with lessons learned and hearts ignited with purpose. Jake turned to the girl, gratitude overflowing. "Thank you for not giving up on me." She nodded, her face glowing. "Thank you for believing." Together they stepped into the light, ready to take on whatever came next, aware that they were not just survivors, they were warriors of their own fate. And with that, the shadows faded into obscurity, leaving them in the beautiful embrace of a new dawn, the heart of time guiding the way. Now, as you close this chapter with us, remember that your journey is just the beginning. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that inspire change. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and help spread these vital messages. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. Your voice matters. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Only true fans understand that your support builds this community.